effective and frugal hobbies for when you are dirt broke. And these hobbies are hobbies that I thought a lot about and tried to make them ones that, for the majority part, someone, even if they were like living in their vehicle, or say an RV or a tiny house or something, could still do. Say you're a roommate and you've got other roommates, you could still do things that, you know, you don't have to spend almost any money at all on, and you can use something you already have to do it. So, for instance, if you are watching this, you're watching it on YouTube, which means you either have access to some sort of phone, tablet, or computer. That makes you automatically eligible for the first one, which is books and fan fiction. Being really into reading is like super good. You can get Amazon Kindle for free, and so many books are free on there. And if like the copyright's already done on them, you can get a lot of books for free from doing that. So like older classics and things like that you can read. Also, library cards are super cheap. If you want to read physical books and you can't afford the library card, you can also just go sit in the library and read, and it can actually be kind of like a peaceful, soothing place to sit there and read books and stuff. But basically, reading, expanding your mind, investing in learning stuff, or just imagining a fantasy world, or trying to solve a mystery, whatever it is, you know, putting your brain to work, it can be super cheap. Thankfully, we're trying to be frugal here and save some money, but also it can have like massive payoffs in the long run. Being educated on something or knowing something about something can really, for a lot of people, just take them a long way in life. And even if it doesn't necessarily take you a long way in life, it can still make you feel really good just working your mind and using your brain. It can honestly just be a relief to read a book and think about something else other than your current circumstances right that minute. It's just such a good frugal habit. The second one, you might find quite shocking. Very shocking. But it is video games. Yeah. There are so many free video games, and if you are watching this on a computer, I highly recommend MMORPGs. Now, why am I saying this? Video games can be super expensive. Because if you can avoid the gambling side of things, if you can avoid the subscription side of things, and not get obsessed with the competitive pay-to-win side of things, there's really not much reason for you to need to spend. You can end up not spending anything in an entire year on an MMORPG that you've been playing that whole year. Especially if you pick the right ones. For instance, in Guild Wars 2, almost anything, once you buy the game, you just have it. So say you just buy like the base game. You don't even buy an expansion. That's pretty freaking cheap. But say you buy an expansion and you just buy like you get it on sale for $30 or you don't get it on sale for $50. That's the game forever. All of the other content, including like Living World seasons and quote-unquote DLCs, you know, all that kind of stuff you can buy with gems, which the gems you can get with gold. So if you play the game enough, which you would want to play the game anyway, and you just farm up the currencies, you can get some of the stuff from real-life money purchasing from playing the game and putting time into it. Now, is it a quote-unquote waste of time? Maybe. But if you're getting enjoyment out of it, if it is taking you out of a stressful circumstance and giving you a break, a mental and emotional break, if it is giving you the ability to socialize with guildies and talk to people without having to get out of the place that you are living, go for it. If you are using, say, a not as old computer or maybe a console, try BDO. Black Desert Online is not, you know, you can get it for free, although it's not expensive. It's like $10 to buy it, and then you just have the game, period. You just have it. And yeah, there's some stuff that you could buy with real life money that would make things more convenient or go faster, but in actuality, you don't need to spend the money. You just need a hobby. You know, playing a game like that and spending your free time hours not stressing out, not having a horrible time of it, and being able to get by on a cheap activity instead of an expensive one can go a long way. And playing, you know, maybe some mobile games. You're watching this on your phone, all you've got is a phone, you don't have a computer, you don't have a console. There are free to play games, and they have a money shop. But if you don't spend in the money shop and you just play it as a game, video gaming can be such a relief, a distraction, a time to calm down, and it can really, really help. It can be a coping mechanism for getting through really bad financial straits. So, yeah, video games. The next one is going to be exploring parks. Almost everywhere has parks or national parks or, you know, open land, and you can go, you know, on walks, sure, but we can get a little more adventurous than that. Try some foraging. Learning about foraging is totally free. You can do it on YouTube or at the library or join a club or whatever, and it can be free. But you can get some fun things and feel cool making dandelion jelly and making, like, you know, some fiddleheads in your salad. And oh, look, I got some wood sorrel for my salad, and I got some, you know, some plantain and dandelion leaves for my salad, and all I add is some arugula, and now I've got this fancy salad, and I foraged most of it, and I'm so proud of myself. You can do geocaching and, you know, make parks more fun instead of just being like, oh, I guess I'm going for a walk in the park. If a walk is good enough, awesome. That's awesome. But it does not cost any money to go out with a reusable bag and be like, you know what? I have to use this bag for groceries anyway. I'm just going to stick some foraging stuff in there and bring it home and think it's cool. And allow me to say, with the foraging thing, do not eat something unless A, you 100% are certain of identifying that plant. Learn first. Don't just stuff in your mouth. 2, that you did not pick it near a road or near somewhere where pesticides are used. Make sure you check first. In the state I live in, almost nowhere is allowed to use pesticides. So there's that, but it might not be the same in your state. So make sure you are not ingesting some sort of bad thing from that kind of stuff. And then number 3, do not eat things that are at the bases of power line poles. The wood and the stuff that is used to build that stuff, it leaks down toxins into the ground around it. So make sure you look up some safety rules first before you do foraging in particular. But the point is there's things you can do at the park. You could, you know, get your friends together and start like a little LARPing group, or start like a you know, which LARPing is live action role play, or start a you know, a live D&D campaign of some sort. You can, you know, do other things than just go to the park to take a walk. Swing on a swing. I mean, if no little kids are using it and you're not taking, you know, the fun away from a child or whatever, go embrace your inner child and swing on a swing. Like, have a little bit of, again, cheap to free quality time with yourself. Invest in yourself. Give yourself some time away from stress. The next one I'm going to say is the one that, you know, might be a little harder if you're living in a vehicle. You might have to just stick to like some succulents, but I'm gonna say houseplants and gardening. You can get seeds for like next to nothing, like $3, $2, 99 cents. And it can be really, really fun and even fulfilling to watch something you planted grow. And there's been studies to show that working with like dirt and stuff is actually very therapeutic. And, you know, learning about your plant and like feeling connected to your plants and stuff can really feel like warm and good inside. And you can plant your plant not in a fancy terracotta pot or whatever. You can plant your plant in like a plastic container you found by the side of the road. You can plant your plant in, you know, a raised box that you make out of a free pallet. There's so many free pallets on like Craigslist and from stores and stuff. And you literally can just make yourself a plant box, put some dirt in there and call it good. It can be really nice. You don't have to get the best of the best stuff. This is again something where it can get expensive if you choose for it to, but it can be super cheap if you just let it be cheap. I mean, if you really just are like, even seeds sounds like too much, go to your local park, pull up a couple of dandelions, but make sure you grab the roots as well and start growing some dandelions at first, and then slowly start to pick some other plants as you learn about them and plant them instead. There's plenty of wild onions, wild flowers, wild like stuff that grows, and you could just transplant that in your little plastic container. Oh, I found a little cottage cheese thing by the side of the road, whatever it is. And you know, oh, you just take care of a plant, or some plants, you know, and have that sense of I can create life. I can create like a safe environment for something to live in. And sometimes when you feel like you haven't been able to do that for yourself, it can be really, really a massive stress relief to cheaply and inexpensively be able to do that for something else. And it can build your confidence in your ability to do it for yourself. Maybe you're someone who just doesn't have a green thumb and you're terrible with plants and this one wouldn't apply to you at all. That's okay. There's other options. The point is you can do hobbies for cheap. It doesn't have to be like you're a movie buff and you go to the movies all the time. That's expensive. Taking care of a plant can be cheap. The next one is, if you have a phone, you can get into photography. Now, this again requires, hey, I gotta learn about something. I gotta explore something. I gotta find out what different settings do instead of just hit camera and call it good. Like, oh, hey, I can zoom in and out and I can change settings as I'm doing these things. You know, getting into photography can be something that's just for you. A lot of times people are like, oh, do photography so that you can take pictures of like something and then go to a business and say, here's my portfolio. Like, I've seen people before suggest, like, literally suggest, oh, take some pictures of food and then go to a restaurant and show them the pictures of food you took and tell the restaurant to pay you. That can work, but that's A, going to be nerve-wracking to walk into the place, and B, expect a decent rejection rate. It's not always going to work out. But the point is, you can still enjoy taking pictures if you want to mix some of these together. I like playing video games and I like taking screenshots of my character dressed in different outfits. Or maybe I love reading books and taking pictures of the books stacked up. Or I love exploring parks and I love taking pictures of the scenery there. I am growing my plants and I am taking pictures of my plants as they grow, and I'm creating like a collage of their growth as they go, or a slideshow of them getting bigger and bigger day to day. You know, like, you can mix some of these things together, but it doesn't have to cost any more than what you're already spending. It does not cost any more to take a picture with a phone that you already have and are using at all. Like, cheap hobby to get into and do something that can make you feel creative or inspired. Like, you know, I've thought about some things, you know, like, for instance, drawing, but you still have to come up with utensils to draw with, either digital drawing utensils or else actual physical drawing stuff. Like, I feel like these 5 things are just super cheap hobbies. Like, anyone for $0 could go out and start reading a book or start taking pictures. You know, video games, and exploring parks and gardening, you might have to put in an initial amount of, say, $10 or $50 in a year. But think about how much people spend on entertainment. I mean, most people pay more in subscription fees for like TV, watching, shows and stuff than they do on any of these hobbies. And it's super important to lower your stress levels while also being able to keep a low budget. And especially when you're like just trying to make ends meet, or you're living paycheck to paycheck, you might feel like your options are really limited on being able to do anything but work, anything at all. And I just want to give you some 5 starter options, and then you can take these options and turn them into something more. You can explore other options too. It's not like these are the only 5 there are. It's just these are the 5 that I came up with off the top of my head that are really cheap, cost either $0 or almost no dollars to get started, and you can really sink some solid hours into building some self-confidence, feeling good about yourself, getting away from your problems, and doing something that can be therapeutic or beneficial for yourself emotionally and mentally.